Hi, I'm Morvitz. Welcome to my show, Premonition. These are works on paper and ink. They're drawings primarily. And come and take a look. I want to show you how these drawings come to be. I use a paper, Mitsumata paper, which is a fiber made in either Bhutan or Japan. And it's a flexible, fibery kind of paper, like washi, like Japanese washi paper. And I begin by putting a sheet of paper like this on top of a large stone and rubbing across the surface of the paper with a graphite pencil. And I pick up these little dots until the whole paper is covered with these random graphite marks. And then I sit and I look at these marks and I get what I would call a premonition about what the image is going to be. And this particular piece is almost the very first piece I ever made in this series. I made the frottage, the rubbing, in 2016 in Ireland. And I remember sitting in my studio, I had a residency there, and looking at this and trying to understand what image was going to arise from this piece of paper. This is a piece that is more recent in origin, and it has some collage elements. These come from my notebooks. These are drawings, and then they are digitally printed. And I use watercolor to get some of the color in here. And I should say that all of these drawings are additive, one line at a time, and that's why it takes me a long time to draw them. It's, in my mind, it's as if I were drawing as painting, because I'm interested in areas of texture and color, even though they're just done mostly with line. There's a kind of layering in my approach to this work, and I would say that the first layer is the natural world. I live at the edge of a forest. I walk there every day, and so I see natural forms every day. I kind of think them through and see them again in the imagination. And that gives them a different kind of life. So that would be the sort of second phase of looking at this work. And the third phase is where these things come from in the art world, because I'm very interested in the metal plate engravings from the 16th century where they do all this kind of texturing. This stuff has fascinated me for years, and this is the only way I know where I can actually create some of those textures myself. I mean, I saw them in the comics when I was a kid, and the comics were in black and white, and they would have to make a texture to show the rug or the back of the room or the lampshade or something. And I was just fascinated by these linear forms. And here, again, where this is coming from is, I would say, is classical Chinese or Japanese brush painting. They can load their brush with ink and water and in one stroke show a mountain or a waterfall or something. I can't do that, but the liveliness of their landscapes and their basically abstract form is what really interests me. So I've kind of emulated this idea. To me, art, is a conversation that takes place across time and across space, so that, something that was painted 500 years ago, as far away as China or Japan, can still speak to me, and I can talk back to it in a certain way. I find that endlessly engaging. This is another landscape, and I'll just mention that some of the texturing in this paper comes from a stone in a field near my house that the sculptor J.B. Blanc brought and left there. This is another landscape, and the paper was frotaged not very far from my house, where there's a huge rock that was brought there by the sculptor J.B. Blanc, who used to live not too far from us. And I find the engagement with the stone itself a whole other experience. I don't know how deeply it's embedded in the final piece, but this is a dark landscape. Maybe it was made partly during the time of COVID. I think it was begun earlier, but many of these pieces got their final finish during COVID, when we had to stay in. And I found the studio a place of solace during that very scary time. Part of my drawing practice involves carrying a notebook with me everywhere I go and drawing at any moment when nothing else is going on. So these are just some pages from different notebooks. You can see they're also ink, and then very often I'll go back and add just a little bit of watercolor to them. And I get kind of fascinated by certain images that I find in my notebooks, and then I will embed them in other work, which I will show you when we go around, just around the corner from this. These are very small drawings. So in this drawing, besides adding watercolor, as you can see, I also have two pieces that I took from my notebooks and scanned them and integrated them onto the paper. And I was really struggling with this drawing. I had it upside down, I had it sideways. I couldn't figure out how to finish it. And once I put these pieces on, it came together immediately for me that it was a place of dreams. And these are dream figures. Everything that I do somehow involves a landscape, except for the tiny notebook drawings, and they become something other. think what you can see here is that I'm still using these same forms. This is a little handmade book with the antique covers called Seeing, Knowing, Forgetting, Seeing. And each one of these is from my notebook, one notebook or another. And I paired them with words very simply. This is also on an Asian paper, washi paper. And the background is floors that I have encountered, that I love the random texture of these floors. Some are more obvious than others. I get excited by contrasting things like textures, floor textures, language, and an abstract form. This character appears probably 3 or 4 times in this show. I made an edition of 2. So this is the first one. The second one has a different cover. So in the annex, what I've put here is collaborative projects that I've done with 2 artists. One is the Canadian artist Joyce Majewski, and we've been exchanging handmade postcards and collaborating for 12 years now. And the other collaborator is Tim Graveson, my husband, and he and I have done several projects together, and there are 2 projects in this room that you can see. The first project is when we went to Ireland and we visited Neolithic tombs and monuments, and we created a logbook so that every time we went to one of these sites, we would record its location, the time of day. We would make a sketch sometimes of the stones in place, and we made a logbook showing everything that we did, and ultimately I made a printed book out of it, but this is actually my last copy of that. But this is where I started making my frottages on stones. So the stones of Ireland were the beginning of my series of drawings using frottage. And that's a little slideshow that Tim put together from that time when we were in Ireland. And there's some amazing stones and stone monuments in Ireland. Now here are the projects that I did with Joyce most recently. 2021, we did a book called The Ocean Diaries, and each page is 3 panels, and we would mail the pages back and forth to each other until they were done, and included some text and some artwork. Joyce was making a whale skeleton out of styrofoam at this time, and I was planning on visiting the ocean every day, but it was COVID time and the parks were closed. So I had to do a little bit of reminiscing about my first experiences in the ocean with my dad. And anyway, these are the pages, and you can handle them and open them carefully. Here on the wall is one of our postcard exchanges. This is this year's postcard exchange. The Joyce's are the real deal. And you can actually take them off the wall and read them if you're careful. They've been through the mail. And mine I had sent to her, and so I just printed some facsimiles so you can see a few. We are emailing each other, we are mailing using the post office every week, supposedly. I'm about a month behind in mine, but Joyce is very good about keeping up with this. We agreed that we would have the postcards divided into 3 sections so that there would be a foreground and a horizon line. But we kind of, we made some changes. And the other thing was the theme was supposed to be a fantastic or imaginary journey. So these are just excerpts from that postcard exchange, which will end in December. And then this is my second and most recent project with Tim. We pulled a lot of our bric-a-brac off the shelves, and Tim began taking portraits of them. We call it Off the Shelf Portraits of Things, and we have a little booklet, which itself is a kind of souvenir of this project and our things. Tim took the photos, I put the book together and added some text. And it's my hope that we'll go on and catalog more of these things, because this is just a handful of the stuff we have on our shelves. Some of it is very meaningful, and some of it's just silly that we like to have. So, things that you pick up at the beach, etc. So we have this is available. So now that I've walked you through this show, I hope that you will actually want to come out to Point Reyes and see this work in person. I guarantee you it's better looking in person than it is in the video.
Hi, my name is Jenny Lynn Hall, and I'm one of the co-directors of the Visiting Artist Program at Gallery Route 1. It is in the Project Space Gallery. It's one of our 3 galleries here. And now we're excited to have Jane Ingram Allen and Jami Taback showing their installation In Deep Water Rising. The Project Space was founded to specifically have shows addressing the climate crisis right after the Valdez oil spill. Mary Eubank really felt like there was a need for artists to have a place to express their outrage over what was going on with the world. And this is a real continuation of that thought. This isn't dealing with an oil spill, but with the seawaters rising and what humans are doing to affect our environment. So without further ado, I'll let these 2 talk about this stunning installation, which, I don't know, it's amazing to walk around it and look at the shadows on the wall, and I really hope that all of you will be able to come in and see it in person, because it really is a great show.
Hey, Jane. Hi, I'm Jami Taback, and this is Jane Ingram Allen, and we're here today to show you In Deep Water Rising, our collaboration we've been working on since August of 2021.
Yeah, and we're very happy to be here at Gallery Route 1 in Point Reyes Station. And one of the interesting things about this particular exhibition for us is, we can design the whole space. And so it's been really fun working with the staff here to install it. We've made, nice curves so that these multi-panels, people can interact with it and see the work from both sides. So
Yeah.
I think, that's one of the most exciting things about it to me. And also we were so impressed with the shadows on the wall here, on the lighting.
Yes, when we created the exhibit, we were considering the paper and all of the physical positive space. But there's always a mystery and a magical experience when you put the lights on and see the beautiful shadows reflected. So there is art on the walls in the form of the shadows.
And another thing about this installation is, being able to see through it. And, there's something on each side. It's different on each side. So, we're just going to take a walk now and go through this and show you, how you can go around and feel like you're in the water, in the deep water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the panels even move a bit as people walk around, which is kind of an interesting element.
So, and you can see that there all this handmade paper that's been burned and scarred and wetted down and printed on with lots of different process, from linoleum block prints to monoprints and etchings. A lot of intaglio etchings, and Jane made plates also, and we used polymer plates that work with only sun and water to continue our dedication to chemical-free, non-toxic making art and safe making art for the artists themselves.
Yeah, the paper is made from a variety of plant fibers. Some of the blue you'll see is from old blue jeans that's been pulped up and made into paper. And then we also have kozo, which is from the bark of the mulberry tree, and some, other fibers in here. But, we started out making the paper in various shades of blue. And, we have a bit of orange in it because we wanted to bring some reference to the fires we have been having that are so terrible here in Northern California. And then we started burning. And the burning really makes interesting lines and shapes that you can't get any other way. And we control the burning by using a fire retardant that we painted on the paper. And, some of the paper has stencil work in it, which is just another way of printmaking. And, we made a variety of holes in the paper. So we're going to continue walking now around the piece. And this is a wonderful space because, it's nothing on the wall, but everything hanging out in space. So you can, go on each side.
And it's everything we imagined it would be, in these beautiful, graceful curves and like waves, that we could actually walk around it and invite the public to see both sides of the paper.
Okay, we're going to continue around here, and here you can see the interplay of the shadows on the wall.
This is one of my favorite areas.
With the artwork.
Yeah.
And
then, of course, we used all of this threading, cotton threading, and attached it to the paper to make it where it would all attach, and we created it so it folds up and gets shipped.
Fold up, and it's easy to ship. It's in a kind of a gridded pattern, so you can see once you take it down, it's easy to fold it up and store it or ship it to the next installation. And, in each place that we put this installation, it's very different.
It is. It's a different length, different lighting. Sometimes this is the first installation without actual windows. So we relied on the inside light, but often we display this in front of windows, and that gives it its natural light and changes through the day also.
And, you know, when the light comes through the handmade paper, you get some, you know, interesting effects. And then with the printmaking on the paper, you know, it gives an even different effect.
So for Jane
and some of it's collage in there, and the string is put on it to join everything. And you can see we use blue, black, white, orange, some red even in the thread.
I liked when we put the bright colors into that. It gave it some life.
And we made a variety of printing plates, as Jami said, and you know, she has the printing press in her studio, and I have the paper making and, you know, the collage and all the other elements in my studio.
Right, a lot of people ask us, so did Jane make the paper and then I came home and printed on it? But no, we had a real collaboration and got into each other's discipline in a very serious way. And it also, when I was first making paper and it wasn't always perfect, I would look to Jane and go, is this okay? And she'd make a face, or the same thing with the printmaking, because we both wanted the paper to be of Jane's level of expertise and the printmaking to be of a high quality for me. So we did not compromise that in any way, and everything was done nicely.
Collaboration only works if you each, you know, respect the other artist and have, you know, a way of sharing your expertise with the other artist. So we think of this as a true collaboration, you know, not just me making the paper and then she's printing them. And then, you know, we did all the installation together and putting all the panels together, deciding, you know, where they would go and which piece would go here and there. Okay, we're going to continue around this way now.
Come around here.
See the other side of this part of the installation.
A lot of respect comes along with a collaboration, as Jane said, and we've talked about when we didn't want to run away with ourselves, so we'd stop and make sure that we were staying focused, and I'd go to Jane, or Jane would come to me, so that we stayed within our vision
and you can
together.
See this is like an embossment in the paper itself, and then the swirly same kind of shapes echoed in the printmaking.
And then again with the threading, it's just like this constant swirling, whirling imagery.
The turmoil in our climate crisis now.
We moved into some papers that are have a more turquoise in them, and that was a fun time to go through that.
Really like this gallery floor.
Yeah.
It has wonderful cracks in it, and the, you know, the variations in color. It seems to go with this whole theme of water and turmoil and, you know, cracking up. And that's really
I bet some of this came from earthquakes and the earth heating up.
Sure.
Absolutely. Here's some beautiful pieces here. Gee, Jane, every time I look at this, I see something different, and it reminds me of the days when we did this particular series of paper and this type of printing, and so there's a lot of memories with this.
Yeah, we've been working on this, as you said, since August of 2021.
The actual paper making and printing is basically over, and we're sort of lamenting in that we won't be meeting and doing the physical work, but we have several exhibits coming up, and we're planning and creating for that, and these papers have a future at other galleries.
Yeah, it'll be at other spaces. But I hope everyone can come here to see it, because it's really special in this particular gallery, I think. Thank you.